Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I posted a video. I think the last time I posted was in 2021, so it's been 2 years now, and so much has changed in my life. So much has changed for the better, but also some dark times too. To encompass it all, I honestly graduated college. Thank you God. Thank you God for that one. I crossed AKA. I traveled the world, literally traveled the world. I moved to New York. I started a job, and all this was in the span of 2022. And now in 2023, I had a lot of growing up to do, and it's been rough. Honestly, this year has been so hard on me. Not even because I haven't been blessed with so many opportunities, but I think now I'm actually just sitting with myself and evaluating who is Alea and who do I want to be. And I want to be able to talk you guys through the journey that I've been taking to heal, getting to know Alea more, and understanding what my purpose is in this life. So I hope you guys enjoy. Okay guys, so starting off, I want to say that I genuinely wasn't going to record this video. To be honest, coming back to YouTube is a little weird because I feel like I never really had a big platform to start with, but previously too I was posting like vlogs and advice and things like that, and I just felt like, well, I'm not in a place to give advice. I have no idea what I'm doing right now. Or even the simple fact I was just going to talk myself out of this because my hair looks crazy, my nails really aren't done, I don't have the flyest outfit on, my skin hates me right now. And yeah, I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this, and I was going to make a million excuses. But then I realized, I was like, look, the version of Alea that I want to be requires me to be this authentic and raw and real person and vulnerable, and so I want to be able to present that to you guys regardless of how I look, regardless of what you guys may be seeing. So I wanted to be able to do that. Overall, I want this video to just sort of show why I've been gone, where I am at now, and what hopefully I can bring to this channel and really be my most authentic and real self. So starting off from 2021, I turned 22 the start of January, and then I graduated college. Okay. I majored in journalism at Florida A&M University, and I'm so proud of myself because, to be honest, not that I never thought I would graduate college, but I just never thought I would have graduated in the major I did and been on the path that I was on. But here was the dilemma. I graduated, and no one tells you, everyone talks about post-grad, and I've talked about this on my social media, on TikTok and everything, but no one really talks about post-grad and like how it really does affect you. And so after I graduated, I realized like I didn't have a job lined up, I had nothing going for me, and it really frustrated me because if you knew me in college or just in general, I'm a very hardworking person. I put myself out there, I network a lot, I do all these things, and so it was very frustrating for me to not know what I was doing next and not have the control that I usually do over my life. I basically had a conversation with God, and I was like, look, I have no idea what you're doing. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And I really feel very weak and vulnerable and like a failure. And this, I kid y'all not, this is really what solidified my faith, as well as I understood what God's will was for me. And I kid you not, God was like, let me just take the wheel this time. You do you, but I'm gonna take the wheel. And it was such a mind-blowing thing because once I did that, y'all, I lived the summer of my dreams. Starting off, after graduating, my best friend, she graduated 2 weeks later, and so I went to her college graduation, and her mom was so nice enough to take me, her, and her boyfriend to Vegas. Now, with this Vegas trip, this is really what sparked my whole summer, because at first I was going to say no. I was going to say no to this trip and be like, no, I have other plans, I have things to do. But then I was like, Alea, and my best friend and her boyfriend taught me to do it too, but I was like, when am I going to have another opportunity to go to Vegas? And it's paid for. Shout out Lauren's mom. But yeah, when was I going to have another opportunity like that? So I said, okay, I'm gonna go. Now, mind you, I was a little irritated anyway because I didn't have like the outfits and the things planned. But that's when I knew, I was like, okay, this is sort of what God's talking about. Like, you don't have to have everything figured out. Just do it. So went, barely had any clothes on my back, I kid y'all not, and went to Vegas, had a blast, had the time of my life. And then after that, I realized, okay, what do I do now? I go home, right? And this girl Lauren had the smart decision to buy a car in Vegas, and her and her boyfriend were going to do a cross-country road trip, and she asked me if I wanted to come too. Now this is when I was met at another crossroads, because I was like, okay, I could go back home and do probably just swallow in self-pity or whatever, because I had nothing lined up. But then I was like, why don't I just try it, just do this cross-country road trip? And y'all, that was a really transformative part of my life, because I know for a fact this will be a core memory for me always. Because who does a cross-country road trip that many times, or does it in their lifetimes? There's not a lot of people that do that. And so the fact that I was able to do that at 22, and I was able to see the Grand Canyon, and I went to the Four Corners, and we stopped at crazy rest stops, and just looked at the terrain that America does have, and that was a beautiful moment for me, and I'm so grateful that I did it. Following that, I did eventually get back to Florida, well, get back to Georgia, and then I went to Florida. And when I got back to Florida, that's when it sank back in with myself, because I had no idea what I was going to do next. I mean, nothing lined up. Like, y'all think I'm joking. I seriously had nothing. But this is when I was like, all right, I'm just going to look online. I barely applied to jobs, but I was like, okay, let me look. And I fell across the program that I'm currently in now, the PAGE program, at NBC Universal. And once I applied to it, I totally forgot about it, and so I went about the rest of my summer. So we'll come back, we'll put a pin in that part. Then I went on a Memorial Day trip with some of my line sisters and my friends, and that was a really beautiful trip, because it really, for that trip really solidified it for me, because I realized that even though I graduated and that me and my friends are going to drift apart, that we always have moments that we'll be able to cherish and remember for the rest of our lives, and be able to look back at us at 22 being drunk in Destin, Florida. Like, that was a time to be alive, okay? I feel like every experience I had last summer just showed me, like, this is why, not only this is why you're alive, but this is part of your journey to make you a better you. Anyway, don't want to get deep and stuff. So following the Destin trip for Memorial Day, I went to New York. Now, the New York trip was a little wonky. Honestly, I don't feel comfortable fully talking about what happened on that trip yet, but when I went to New York, I had a weird feeling that I was like, oh, this is where I'm going to live. I don't know for how long or whatever, but I was like, oh, I'm living here. And if you don't know, I was born in New York, but I was raised in Georgia, and I was like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. And I had that weird feeling. So I visited New York, I left New York. Then following the rest of the summer, I took like little trips. I went to Tampa for the first time. And finally we got toward like the end of July, and I went on a cruise with my best friend. And it was such an amazing cruise. One, we had a blast, but also it was another one of those moments where I was like, oh, like, this is why my best friend's my best friend, or this is why I have these people in my life and these experiences, and this is why it's happening. And I think overall the summer just showed me that this is what God was talking about. Let me just take control for a moment. Let me just take control. You just live. You worked so hard. You spent these years in school. You didn't really allow yourself to take vacation, because, to be honest, y'all, also because of COVID, but I never really had like the college experience of like going to travel and do things. Like, I literally was just in Tallahassee, Florida. I was in Georgia. The only time I really traveled was the end of my junior year going into my senior year, and I only went to Miami. So we didn't really do much. And so I think this was like the time for me to just be able to just explore and do what I want to do. And I know somebody's gonna ask me, how in the world did you fund this? Y'all, to be honest, I don't know. I really don't know. I used a lot of my graduation money, but also, I mean, I have money, like, I have money, you know, saved up, but like, yeah, a lot of it was my graduation money and just relying on faith, because nothing was planned. No, not one of those trips was planned, except the cruise. The cruise was sort of planned, but that was it. So following that, after the cruise, I moved out of my apartment in Tallahassee and I came back to Georgia. And this is where my parents gave me the nice graduation gift of going to Abu Dhabi with them. And so I went to Abu Dhabi, and that was honestly a blessing in itself as well, because I personally thought that, you know, I was going to go back to Georgia and I was going to start, you know, working in Georgia. Oh, I actually sort of got a little thrown off with the timeline. So backtracking to the cruise. So before I went on the cruise, this is when I found out I got the job in New York. Well, I got into the program in New York. And literally right before I was about to board the cruise, they emailed me, or they called me, and I found out, and I was like, oh my gosh. Went to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, beautiful time, had a blast, and I was with my parents too. So I'm like, you know, for me to have a blast out there and I'm with my parents, I'm like, okay. But it was a beautiful country, beautiful scenery. Honestly, I might do a little mini vlog for that. I didn't really do a lot of recording for that part, but I would be happy to share that with you guys. So went to New York, following Abu Dhabi, went to New York and started my career. Now this is where I feel like life started to really hit, right? Because now I slowed down. I had a travel bug all summer, and then now I had to be sedentary and sit down and actually work and all this type of stuff, and it did throw me off. But also this is when post-grad really kicked in, because I didn't really spend a lot of time in the summer to myself. I was always somewhere, I was always moving, traveling. And so finally when it hit for me, I had a really rough time. Like between the months of September to January, I had a really tough time, and I want to say seasonal depression, but also I would say just I was grieving. And looking back on it, I talked about this on my TikTok, but I really was grieving myself, because here I was now, Alea, this corporate baddie in New York, making moves, making things happen, but I missed the Alea in college that would stay up late with her roommates, and I missed the one that honestly truly had no money and but could make $20 could make $20 last 2 weeks. I missed the experiences that I made in college, and being able to have my friends so close to me. And I try not to get emotional about it, but I do miss her a lot. And so now the Leia that I am, I'm still trying to figure her out. I'm still trying to understand her and get to know her, but she's doing a lot better now. I would say that. All of this was like back to back to back. So I'm dealing with post-grad depression. I'm grieving myself. I'm heartbroken over this guy. And now I have to really look at Alea in the mirror and be like, what do you want? What do you want out of this life? And so that's when ultimately I came on this camera and started talking to you guys, because I was like, I know who I want to be and the woman that I want to see in the future. And so I have to show up for her every day. Okay, y'all, so overall, who is Alea, right? Question. I know that she is very hardworking, and I talk about myself in third person because I feel like genuinely, I don't know, in my brain there is a version of myself, I guess the highest version of myself, or the most intelligent version of myself, that has it all figured out, that is beautiful, intelligent. She has the dream job and the dream man, and is creative and financially stable and can do all the things and can take care of her family. I envision that for myself. But right now, baby, she's doing good. I'm not gonna say I'm not doing good, because I'm grateful for where I'm at, but I'm just like, these 20-somethings are something serious. I told my friend that, like, at 23, I cried probably more in my life than I have throughout my life. Like, I'm pretty sure this year I've cried more in my life. But I'm glad that I'm able to be that vulnerable with myself, because being that I'm like working on my healing and my healing journey and everything, I'm just like, I want to be as authentically me as I can. And I prayed to God about this recently, because I was saying how I work, I feel like I gotta put on a mask sometimes, of like, I can't be myself 100%, or even when I go out. And I want to just start being me. I want to start showing up for myself. I just want to love who I am, whether her hair looks crazy, whether her skin's a mess, everything. I just want to love me and love my body and everything. And so that's really been my goal right now. and I want to take you guys through that. And so I hope to continue to make videos and YouTube videos on just showing my growth and how I'm learning to love myself and heal some traumas, because Lord knows I got some, and even my journey with therapy, because I've been going to therapy. And yeah, I want to be able to share that with you guys. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video and comment, and let me know how you guys are feeling, especially if you're dealing with post-grad depression. Let me know, because I want to be able to help y'all help me. Let's make this a transaction. But yes, thank you all for tuning in, and I hope to see you in future videos.